Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-Lila, chapter 6. We're speaking about the glories of Advaita Acharya. I'm going to speak on text. We'll read now text 80. Tenho karena krishnera dasya pratyasha nirantara kahe shiva muni krishna dasa. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He also desires only to be a servant of Lord Krishna. Sri Sadashiv always says, I'm a servant of Lord Krishna. Yesterday we were hearing about the position of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he's Shiva Tattva himself. He's Sadashiv. Lord Sadashiv, he's there in the Vaikuntha planets. And his expansions are here in the material world, in every universe, acting as the different Rudras, and highlighting the universes. The original Lord Shiva, he's there, Sadashiv, in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, and he's not an ordinary living entity, but he's not Vishnu Tattva either. He comes from Lord Vishnu. He is an expansion of Lord Vishnu, but he is a Tattva in himself. It's like milk can be turned into yogurt, but once we have yogurt, it cannot become milk again. So Lord Shiva can never become Lord Vishnu. He is an identity by himself. And what's his position? What's his mood? I'm a servant of Lord Krishna. He just desires to be a servant of Lord Krishna. He's always meditating on Lord Krishna to get his favor. He's waiting to get the favor of Lord Krishna. He's famous as the pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Krishna preme unmata vivala tikambara, Krishna guna lila gaya nache nirantara. Intoxicated by ecstatic love for Lord Krishna, he becomes overwhelmed and incessantly dances without clothing and sings about Lord Krishna's qualities and pastimes. So Lord Shiva, we know he is a great dancer. Great dancer. And why is he dancing? Because he's overwhelmed by love for Krishna. He's ecstatic in his love for Krishna. When we are very happy, we start dancing. We hear some good news. I don't know if you all have had the experience, or you all have seen children when they are really happy, they'll start jumping around. And so this is Lord Shiva. He's singing and dancing, and he is ecstatic in his love for Krishna. Pita Mata Guru Sakha Bhava Kinenaya Krishna Premera Swabhave Dasya Bhava Sekaraya. All the emotions, whether those of father, mother, teacher, or friend, are full of sentiments of servitude. That is the nature of love of Krishna. So each living entity has each living entity has an eternal relationship with Krishna in any of the 5 rasas. Father, that's Vatsalya, or Sakhya, or Shanta, Dasya, and Madhurya. So every living entity, each and every living entity is in one of these rasas. And what is the sentiment? Service to Krishna. That is the nature of love of Krishna. Because love is always expressed in service. Love is always expressed, and it's expressed by an action, and that action is called service. It's not based on love, it's based on love. Eka Krishna Sarva Sevya Jagat Ishvara Arayata Sabha Tanra Seva Kanuchara. Lord Krishna, the one master and the Lord of the universe, is worthy of being served by everyone. Indeed, everyone is but a servant of his servants. So Lord Krishna is worthy of being served. You see, we feel that people should serve us. Why should I serve anyone? Why should I glorify others? Everyone should worship me. Everyone should praise me. See how great I am. See how many great things I can do. But that is our pride. We are not in our original position. We are not able to realize our position. And that's the reason we say intoxicated by pride. Intoxicated. When we are intoxicated by pride, we forget the reality. But Krishna, he's worthy of being served. If we try to hear Krishna's pastimes, if we try to hear Krishna's dealings, his activities, then we will realize, yes, here is a personality that I can surrender to. And that's our natural position. He's the one master. He's worthy of being served by everyone. We see Lord Shiva. He's a great personality. He is the leader of the demigods. And what's his mood? His mood is to serve Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna. So that is the mood. And the more we hear and chant about Krishna, the more we will be able to understand why Krishna is the only one who is worthy of being served. Say Krishna avatirna Caitanya Ishvara Ateva Arasabha Tanhara Kinkara. That same Lord Krishna has descended as Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone, therefore, is his servant. So Lord Krishna came 500 years ago as Lord Chaitanya. As everyone is a servant of Lord Krishna, so everyone is a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself. It's himself. Keha mane, keha na mane, sabatan radas, ye na mane tara haya se papenash. Some accept him, whereas others do not. Yet everyone is his servant. One who does not accept him, however, will be ruined by his sinful activities. So the choice is ours. Choice is ours. We accept him or we don't accept him. But it can't change the fact. It can't change the fact that yet we are still Lord Chaitanya's servant. Fact can never be changed. Our belief can never change the fact. Belief can change, but fact can never be changed. And our beliefs can never change the fact. So when a living entity forgets his constitutional position, he prepares himself to be an enjoyer of the material resources. So what do? I'm independent and I'm supposed to be the supreme. I'm supposed to be the supreme. That is what is our mode right now. That's our consciousness right now. Why? Because we have forgotten our original consciousness, our original position. Sometimes he's also misguided by the thought that service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not absolute engagement. In other words, he thinks that there are many other engagements for a living entity besides the service of the Lord. So we also sometimes think that the living entity, when we're speaking of living entity, is not the material body, it's the soul. So the soul, the activity of the soul is the service to the Supreme Lord. Now, sometimes we may say, all right, yes, service to the Lord, but there's so many other things to do also. That we might think, oh, that this is not the only activity for the soul. There are many other things that the soul can do. Such a foolish person does not know that in any position, he either directly or indirectly engages in activities of the service to the Supreme Lord. So then that's our foolishness. We do not realize that the soul, the constitutional position of the soul is to serve. Whether we serve Krishna or God directly or indirectly, we are still serving him. Either we are serving him directly, that if we do that, then that's our best interest. But if we don't serve him directly, then what happens? We serve him indirectly. And how? By serving Maya. We get, entrapped in Maya. And we have to follow the rules, laws of Maya, material nature. And she is Krishna's. So that is indirectly serving Krishna. So when we are in the material world, is also service to Krishna, but it's indirect. We are not able to realize it. Actually, if a person does not engage in the service of the Lord, all inauspicious activities encumber him, because service to the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya, is the constitutional position of the infinitesimal living entities. So our constitutional position is to serve the Supreme Lord, to serve Lord Chaitanya. And if we don't do that, then what we are trying to do is we have become servants of material nature. Becoming a servant of material nature is inauspicious. Why? Because we have this material body. It gives us suffering. It keeps us here in the material world. We are not situated in our original position. Because the living entity is infinitesimal, the allurement of material enjoyment attracts him, and he tries to enjoy matter, forgetting his constitutional position. So we are souls. Yes, we are souls, we are Satchidananda, but our size is infinitesimal. Infinitesimal. That's our size. And because of this, material nature captures us. She's able to capture us. Although we are superior to material nature, she is the inferior energy. But because we are tiny, we get attracted by her. And then when we get attracted by her, we want to enjoy her. We start thinking, I'm the Supreme Lord. We forget our original position. But when his dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, he no longer engages in the service of matter, but engages in the service of the Lord. So when one becomes Krishna conscious, dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened. So we can see that Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind, as Prabhupada would say. It's not an artificial imposition on the mind. It is natural. It is only dormant within every living entity right now. We just have to awaken it. Our true consciousness is lying dormant. We just have to awaken this consciousness. And as soon as we awaken that consciousness, that's our true consciousness. Then we are liberated. No more under the control of material nature. So no more need to be in the material world. And what is that original consciousness? Engaging in the service of the Lord. That is our original Krishna consciousness. In other words, when one is forgetful of his constitutional position, he appears in the position of the Lord of material nature. So when we have forgotten our constitutional position as eternal servants of God, and what we are thinking right now, that I am independent. I am no one's servant. I am the master. I am independent. I am the enjoyer. That's the reason we are in the material world. And we have forgotten our real constitutional position. Even at that time, he remains a servant of the Supreme Lord, but in an unqualified or contaminated state. So we can never change our position of being a servant of the Lord. We can't change it, as sugar can never stop to be sweet. You can't change it. Sugar is sweet always. Similarly, a soul, a living entity, is eternally Krishna conscious, eternally a servant of the Supreme Lord. When we don't accept it, we pretend to be supreme ourselves. We are in the material world. When we understand it, realize it, we engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is liberated life. That's our true position. So we just need to understand that. And the more we hear and chant, our dormant Krishna consciousness will awaken. And the more we hear and chant, it will awaken our dormant Krishna consciousness. Why? Because it's the eternal activity. That's our eternal activity. Is that okay? Yeah. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.